Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and Happy New Year. I know it's been long since we were here and I'm back. Today I want to talk about two issues which have been asked by so many young mothers. One of them is why fresh cow's milk is not necessary for a child who is below 1 year. And the other one is why milk should not be added to porridge. So I'll start with the first question. The reason why we are saying cow's milk is not appropriate for an infant who is younger than 1 year old is because of the content of cow's milk. When you look at cow's milk in relation to human milk, the cow's milk is much, much stronger. There is a difference in the fat content, in the protein content, and the type. And then there's also a difference in the sugar content. So when you look at human milk, the sugar is slightly higher, the fat is not that much, and the protein is very little. But when you compare with the cow's milk has more protein, and the protein is called casein. This protein is very difficult for the human baby to digest, and the fat content in cow's milk is quite high, and the sugar is not that much. So many parents have been thinking that if you dilute the cow's milk, it will be equivalent to human milk. Now that is a myth. The only thing you'll be able to dilute when you give fresh cow's milk is the sugar. The protein will remain the same, the fat will remain the same. We all know that fat does not mix with water. So we are saying that, and that's why you find when a calf is born, it takes a very short time for them to stand up and they start suckling. And that milk is very powerful. That's why it's appropriate for the calf. The human milk is right for the human baby because it contains all the nutrients that the baby needs in the right amounts. It has fats, it has sugar, it has water, it has vitamins, it has minerals, it has everything in the right quantity for the human baby. So that's why we are saying when a baby is on exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months of life, they don't need water. Even if they are in a hot region, they don't need water completely. They don't need any additional sugar because it's been a practice among many mothers that they give boiled water with some sugar added in. That is totally not necessary. So what are we saying? We are saying that a baby should only be given mother's milk until they reach the age of 1 year. Now, why are we saying cow's fresh milk is not good for infants? Number one, when you give a baby who is not yet 1 year old, you give them cow's milk, there is a tendency for the baby to develop allergies. And this allergy mostly comes from the lactose, which is present in the fresh milk, and the protein part, which I called the casein. Those are the two major ingredients that cause allergies in babies. They may cause the baby to have intestinal bleeding. So when the baby poops, you'll notice some blood stains or even actual blood in the pampers or the nappies. Although some bleeding may also be from the mother's hormones, but it has been found that cow's milk can also cause the bleeding because it doesn't augur well with the baby's immature intestines. So the other reaction which we may notice in a baby who is taking fresh cow's milk is constipation. Constipation because you find that the amount of water in that milk is very little compared to the human milk, which has more water. And then also that protein, as I said before, it's very difficult for the human body to digest, and more so for the infants. So we are saying that at the age of 6 months, usually that's the time a baby starts complementary feeding. So many mothers still say at 6 months, now I need to introduce my child to cow's milk. It is still not necessary. But if for one reason or another, you are forced to maybe stop breastfeeding the baby, and personally, I don't see a reason why a baby would stop breastfeeding, because even if you're going back to work, you can still express the milk and leave it behind for the baby to be given. But we are saying that if for one reason or another, maybe unfortunately, God forbid, we lose the mother, or maybe the mother is sick to an extent that she cannot breastfeed and she cannot express the milk, then the best milk we'll advise is either fermented milk or yogurt. These two, number one, they do not have lactose, which I said is an allergen. Number two, the casein, the protein content of that milk has been broken down either by culture or by the natural bacteria in the milk, so it becomes slightly easier for the baby to digest. Many mothers are asking, now if I do not give that cow's milk, where will my baby get the calcium? Remember, your baby is still breastfeeding. So I said mother's milk has all the minerals the baby needs, among them being the calcium, the iron, and all the other minerals. So your baby is still okay, your baby is still safe. They'll get calcium, they'll get the iron from your milk, although the quantity of iron will have reduced, and that's why at 6 months we start introducing other foods to bridge the gap of iron. So we have said you can only give, if it's very necessary, you can give yogurt, you can give fermented milk from 6 months onwards, but not fresh cow's milk. Now, at 1 year, your baby can now take full milk. Full milk, I mean, you don't have to dilute the cow's milk. The intestines are mature enough and the baby can tolerate that cow's milk. Now, my second point was about adding milk to porridge. We are saying that, remember, milk is very rich in calcium, and the porridge will have some iron in it. Calcium and iron do not go together. The calcium will bind the iron, so the iron will not be available to the body. So what are we saying? We are saying if you have to give the child milk, now that is at 1 year, you can prepare the porridge separately, and maybe like after 30 minutes, for the snack, you can give the baby the milk, but don't let them go together. The main reason is for that the calcium will bind the iron, making the iron unavailable to the body. The same rule applies to addition of milk to other foods. People are very fond of adding fresh milk to green vegetables, the traditional vegetables. So the same thing applies. When you add that milk to the vegetables, it binds the iron. And remember, the dark green leafy vegetables are very high in iron. So you'll be doing zero work. You'll be adding the milk. Yes, the vegetable will be very tasty, but it will not have the iron. So we are saying, instead of adding the milk, what you can do, you can boil your milk, you skim off the fat. Then that fat, if you're now frying your vegetables, you don't put a lot of fat because that cream is basically fats. So you can use that fat to add to the vegetable. It will still taste the same as vegetables which have been added milk. So I've said I'm back to this channel and I'm going to bring more content for this year. There are so many things related to nutrition that we are going to talk about. But before I wind up, I encourage you to subscribe, like, share, and even comment. And in your comments, you can also give me related topics that you'd like me to handle in relation to nutrition and child health. So thank you guys. I love you all, and I hope to see you soon again.